Hi, this is Elliot Wave Sage. I want to go ahead and do a market update. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. The market is extended higher, and it's definitely fooling a lot of traders on both sides of the market. It has been an incredible ride up if you were able to catch it. But it still doesn't change the fact of the count that I have is the count. And and I'll go through this as you can see here. 5 waves down, an A and a shallow B, and I warned about C that it could continue higher as long as it stays below this peak, which we still are well below, right? So despite all this bullish energy, it still has a lot more, to prove to break that high. So I do think this is about to end soon. I don't know when exactly. Uh, there's different ways of gauging it, but soon. But I think the best way to time it will be through the Russell. And I gave this other area on my live stream, the short area for the IWM in the 180s. And this will be a trade I will be taking on the short side if it does materialize. But you'll have to do what's best for you. I was mentioning that this wasn't really a good setup, but if we got this miracle pump, then it's a massive opportunity potentially for a short trade, and I will be taking that. And I could be wrong, but do what's best for you. Again, like I said, so here it is. Again, the Russell, nice 5 waves down and a nice 3 wave up. So this is probably where I would expect to see the indices turn. So whenever the Russell is here, wherever this is traded at that moment in time, that's probably where this thing finally peters out, is my thinking for timing. And again, the SPY, it's been impressive, but we're still actually below the July highs. So go figure, right? It's been impressive though. Can it continue to extend a little more? I think it's possible. If you look at looks like we have a 1 2 1 2 3 4 3 4, so maybe one more push higher, a little bit higher, but not. I don't expect another significant extension. That would surprise me. And then the triple Qs is getting really close to the peak. But remember, this looks so much like Tesla's pattern. And if you remember, Tesla almost broke the peak, but it just didn't, and then it just collapsed, right? This is so eerily similar to Tesla's chart. And if you're, and I'll show that real quick. If you were trading with me, we actually caught that short all the way up, and I said it was a low risk, high reward probability here. If I can remember where exactly it took place, I believe. Let's go back here. I think it was this pump here. It was one of these spikes here, if I remember right. We were trading it. We were trading this, and I believe, again, I have to go back into my, go back in time, but I believe that it was either this peak or this peak. I think it was this one. In the trade was okay. You could short that against this pivot, and it never was able to take that out, and it failed. It failed, right, as you can see. Uh, Gotta go back and find the video. I do remember talking about that, and so technology's in the same setup. It's similar setup where it's very close to a key pivot right here at 388, and you could short that against that pivot. Small risk, massive reward. But do I think I would do that? No. Because what's the alternative count in the NASDAQ? Well, this will finish and break the high, and then this just becomes an expanded flat. In the expanded flat scenario is very interesting, but it will ultimately lead to the same kind of outcome later, down like that. And what will probably take place would be a much more complex correction, and this would bounce. So it's just going to morph into something like this structure. The other alternative is it turns into this B, but that would take pretty much vertical price action, even more than we've seen. And this doesn't really look like a good 3-swing move here. This looks like, to me, not a 4. This looks like it's this. I'm sorry. This is not. This is correct in the whole cycle. This whole cycle got corrected here. So this isn't a 4 wave. This is either a 2 wave or it's a connector wave for a 3 wave move. I would say it's a connector for a 3 wave move. So breaking that high does open up this possibility for the super pump and then a super crash later. The other possibility is it does a smaller correction, and then it creates a more complex structure in this larger connector, right? This in itself can be a larger connector that plays out over many months or even years as it trades sideways, so that's all that this could be happening. So I don't really like to trade this structure. If you've listened to my videos, I said really it's not something I would want to short or try to mess around with right now, either on the long or short side. But I know it's very tempted to keep trying to short it. But perhaps now you'll see more aggressive traders try to short it against this pivot, because you can define your risk here and see what happens. Maybe you get that Tesla situation, it doesn't break the high, and you could just, profit. I do look at the IWM, and I do see that this should mark the end of the run for everything right around here. Then Bitcoin starting to fall. We're looking for this 4 wave. So again, if it's 5 up, we should see one more high in Bitcoin here. And then that should do it. Now, if we don't get that high and we just unravel, then the X is in, and then it's just a different structure. And this is just some 3-wave structure, and it's really an ABC where it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an ABC, and we're already headed. So that's why I wouldn't go long either, because it could easily be an ABC and not a WXY. And because of that, I wouldn't trade it here. I wouldn't take a long. But however, if this is the count that I'm showing, it should bounce here. But I'm not taking the position. Then the other thing that was interesting is the dollar took another swing lower. So that should find new support at 103.5. Again, 3 waves, a connector, and now we should also get 3 more waves in the dollar. Okay. Then the 10-year, I warned about this next leg lower, and I have that here. Now we're in the Y leg, the final leg down. It could go as low as actually now 4.1, but it may actually truncate at 4.3 still, given this is significant support. Now that was resistance, so somewhere around here this should end this move. The VIX actually struggled to really get crushed anymore. I look at the VIX now as this A, B, C, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're in a 5th wave. And this is typical of a 5th wave. You're overlapping. It's more condensed. It could still see 1374, and then I think that should do it. That should do it for this in the VIX, and then we should run higher in the VIX. So I'm not FOMOing in. I'm not worrying about this market. I'm not going to chase this market because it's still a bear market in the big picture, just with a lot of overlapping waves. What overlapping waves signify is leverage being taken out of the system, and it's also a lot of traders just kind of destroying each other, and like whales, like destroying each other too. As well. So anyway, this is what I still see in the market. And if the highs break, the structure just morphs into a more bearish structure later, but it still ultimately goes to the same place. It's just we don't know when, but eventually we will build down here. And when we do, that's when I'll start putting more capital to work, long-term investment capital. Right now, to me, this is just day trader battles and funning games, and the ebbs and flows of trader wars. But eventually, all these traders are going to eventually, both sides will lose up most of their money, or they'll give up. One side will ultimately give up, and then it will shift, and the market should make its move. But again, we're really, this is still the connector wave. This is the first leg down. So this connector wave could morph into a massive triangle and break later. It could, morph into, a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then go. I mean, it could do so many things. It could come up and be still in a three-leg move and then come down. So your guess is as good as mine which one is going to happen. Which one? But the only clue that I really see that really helps me see the market right now is the Russell. It's very bearish still, and I still think it's got some hurdles to overcome, and also the the interest rate cycle. So we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, today was just a lot of euphoria, and again, people want to short so bad, and they're getting blown up, and that's why I would just kind of like ignore all of this. This is just a trade. This is really the 5-wave move. Is really the trend is here. This is a reactive move higher. And at some point it will end, and like all good things, it comes to an end. We should get the reversal, and it will be a real tragedy, because what will happen is a lot of people will start buying the reversal, thinking this type of price action will continue, and it won't, and then they'll all be trapped, and then that will create the panic sell-off we're looking for. So I think that's what I've got on the market. That's all I'm going to say today. I think you got to just I would expect a little more upside, given the Russell still can go higher. But then when the Russell trades into this area, and perhaps since we do see correlation with the 10-year is either at 4.3 in this somewhere in this area, because like I said, I don't think it could get to 4.1, but it might. But I think somewhere like 4.3 is probably the right spot for it. When all those factors come together, the VIX finally bottoms out in this area at 13.71. And the market really is ready for this next leg lower. Now, this type of price action also is very reminiscent of 2017 going into Volmageddon, where the indices collapsed very quickly in February after a massive run in November, December, and into early January. And what I remember about sentiment about 3 days before Volmageddon happened, and everything kind of collapsed after that, was the most bullish people I followed on social media, the perma bulls. They started posting, wow, this is even getting crazy, I'm buying puts. So the most bullish person you follow out there that's trading, if they finally say something like that, that's probably the indicator this thing is probably close to a Volmageddon moment. Because this lady I followed was like always buy for years and years, buy. But I remember her posting, like, with her tens of thousands of followers, this is insane, these gains are insane, I have to start buying puts. So, and then 3 days later, the whole market collapsed on Volmageddon. So I think that's kind of the sentiment we're at now. I think it's going to be basically when your most bullish people realize this is even the most craziest thing we're in, and they even realize this is time to probably ring the register. So look for that. When you start seeing that, then you know we're really close. All right, guys, that's all I've got.